Oh, I don't know why.
There we are.
So we're calling this meeting to order. We're going to go ahead and do a roll call. I have Stephanie's not present. We have Darlene Boyd.
Here.
Patricia Bangs, Mrs. B.
Here.
Teresa.
Here.
Liz.
Here.
Beverly, as we know, has resigned, so she won't be here. We have Luke. Not present. We have Fran
Absolutely.
and Stephanie. Is Stephanie here?
Stephanie's not.
She's not here. So it'll be noted that both Stephanie and Luke aren't present, not to say that they won't come in later on in the meeting. Can you put the agenda back up for us, please?
Yep. Here you are.
As Brian has previously mentioned, we don't have minutes for this particular meeting, but those will be forthcoming, and once they are completed, we'll go ahead and deal with that at that particular time. I do want to go ahead and reiterate, we welcome our advisory team, and I've stated the ones that are present, which would be Ms. Renee Wells and Brian Coleman, is what I see so far. If someone notices someone else, please let me know. We're going to open it up right now for public comment. If anyone has any items that's not on the agenda, you may express that at this particular time. I will make a statement that it was brought up to me today by Bliss Blends. It was by Christina. And I don't see her on here. Is Christina present, Kim?
No.
Hello?
I'm here. Sorry, I had to unmute. No, she came in for about 2 minutes and left, so she's not here tonight.
So it was noted to me today that she wanted to bring up the fact that she felt it was important for this committee to recommend someone on staff or someone to be on staff possibly that would focus on bringing events to the city, an event planner or someone to event coordinator. So I just want to put that on people's radar, Brian. If that's something to kind of help to generate and stir up more interest in our community, if we could have somebody focusing on bringing new events here. And I will just put it on the radar. She can expound on that at a later time, but that was just wanting to let people know. Other than that, is there anybody else who has any other public comments or items that they're wanting to share?
Yeah, it's not really a public comment, but I just realized you didn't call Susie's name. Is she still involved?
Oh yeah, I didn't see her. I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing that up, Teresa. Brian, have you heard from Susie? I know she has a standing because of her work schedule that she submitted earlier on. It's like a provisionary thing that we did with her. Is that still in effect, Brian?
You're muted, Brian.
He's still muted.
Unmute. No, she's not here. But yes, that's still a standing excused absence when she's not here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if there aren't any other public comments or any items that are not on the agenda, we'll go ahead and move to our subcommittees. Go ahead, Mrs. B.
I would just like to comment on what you said about Christina's recommendation. I think it's an excellent idea if we had an in-house event coordinator. That way, if any of us have any ideas, we could go to that person and they could assist us in moving forward with the idea. So just wanted to put 2 cents in.
Kim?
I just have a question for Brian. I haven't really talked to Christina about this, but I think she told me a previous week that you guys were looking at hiring a recreation leader or a coordinator, or is that a full-time position or a part-time position? Is that really happening?
Yeah, it's really happening, but it's not a full-time position. It's part-time. I think it's like 20 hours. And it's designed to maybe do what Christina's talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That could be part of that position. It's really a catch-all position with respect to community relations, and so it kind of fits. But,
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And really events could fund the other half of that job to make it a full-time job if we, if we set it up that way.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Fran.
That would be great.
I just want to throw out there, so you have your San Juan committee doing business as a business association, and that's been a lot of what I've spent a lot of my time on. And we've already brought 3 new events to the city. We've brought Sip and Celebrate. We've brought a film festival, international film festival, and now we're doing San Juan Days. So I just want to make sure I throw that out there, is that there is something, and we are partnered with the city. They do fund us for advertising and for bringing people to the city. And so I just want to throw that out there for the other members that may not know. So thank you.
Thank you, Fran, for that.
yeah.
It was also
This position could work hand in hand with whatever community activity is going on. So well, yeah, it's good. So sorry to interrupt.
we can fan that out a little bit later on, but that's an important information to know. So thank you, Fran, for that information. Another item that was brought to me before we get on to the rest.
You're kind of breaking up there.
Yeah, the sound is weird for some reason.
You're breaking up.
It was though with Fran too.
I talked to Laura. Hold on, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's better. No, can't hear you at all. Okay. Are you coming back?
Okay, perfect.
There you
It was
go.
okay. Hold on, let me take it off of my ear. What do you call them?
Yes, 1 second. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. It was noted by Lois. She owns the Lois Decor that was previously the bank here in San Juan Bautista, and she has the parking lot that she has closed off for now, but it's open up to the merchants only. And the merchants we discussed would be, she will give you a code, but I was wondering, but one of the issues that we're having with that, just bring it up, we can't vote on it tonight, but to put it on the agenda maybe next time is, maybe have staff help with keeping the parking lot clean. I've definitely been going there, and I know a few other people in the community have been going to pick up, but that was her main concern. She's not there, she can't really upkeep it. It was also brought up that maybe we can reach out to the clock guy to see if that parking lot was accessible and whether or not the city would be willing to help maintain cleaning wise for that, because that was an issue for him as well as behind, and I don't know if they're willing to do it. It's up for discussion. Behind Margot's, they have a large parking lot that could be accessible. But once again, the problem was upkeep of the property and making sure that garbage and things are not an issue. So
I would imagine liability is going to be an issue.
So that's why she wants to, there was the discussion of partnering possibly with the city to see about making that so it's not on them if it's open up to the public for use.
Yeah, there's some opportunities there in that block. Behind the Mission Plaza, there is a vacant lot that used to be a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, yes.
And we've had some conversations with Michael McCandless about an arrangement with the city to improve that parking lot and use the fees generated there to maintain it, improve it, and to make a connection across the back end of those businesses. You know, provide for trash storage, access to parking, you know, across that entire block via some sort of internal access way. And so that requires sort of a very creative plan, but that's something that we've talked about. It's a very attractive idea. So I think very kind of forward thinking, and we're going to require a lot of collaboration. So thank you. Those are good comments.
All right, moving on to our subcommittees and update reports if we have any.
Can we hear from the advisory team?
Oh, yeah,
Elena?
I'm sorry. I apologize. Do we have any comments or any updates from our advisory team?
Hi, this is Renee Wells with the Economic Development Corporation of San Benito County. I have a couple of updates. The SEDS update, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy that the EDC is working on for the county. Unfortunately, the Economic Development Administration, the EDA, who we've applied for a grant, is way behind schedule as far as funding. They're working on all the ARPA funding applications, and they had a tight deadline, so they're behind schedule in approving grants like ours to move forward with the SEDS. But we have preliminary approval. It's just that you can't move forward with hiring your consultant and starting the first steps of the SEDS until you have that formal approval. We expect it hopefully August, September. But we've been assured that even though there may be a long delay, that the EDA will extend our current SEDS so that agencies can continue to apply for grants until the new one has been established. And so we have hired a consultant. We have, I guess, not hired, but we've selected a consultant, and they're very on board for whatever timeline we're going to be working on. And I assure you that we're moving forward with that. It's just that we're stuck right now with doing preliminary work, but not being able to move anywhere forward for the SEDS. For the SURF update, which is the Community Economic Resiliency Fund for the 13th region funding program for California, and we're part of the Central Coast, is moving forward. There is going to be a working session on the SURF application process tomorrow. There's two, there's one tomorrow and one on Friday. It's a regional working session that will discuss the framework and project plan to develop a thoughtful application to promote an inclusive economic prosperity agenda for the Central Coast. And they'll break up into four different groups to dig into some areas of project planning, which include stakeholder engagement, government data and research, and capacity building. So we will be involved in that. If anyone wants any more information about how to take part in those working sessions, the one for tomorrow starts at 9 a.m. to 10:15. And the one on Friday is the same time frame. So just let me know and I can forward that information to you. The EDC is working with a consultant who is delving into that more thoroughly with us so that we can spend time doing other stuff until it's actually time to start really making commitments to that project. We are also working on the Cal Competes tax credit for fire clay tile in Aromas. They actually received a $2 million tax credit, which is the best in San Benito County. And so we appreciate that we got to work with them, and it's a great feat to do that. So I'm happy to announce that. We're also working with San Benito County on the micro business grants. I don't know if you remember, but they received an $80,000 grant from the federal government for the micro business grants, which were $2,500 each for really small businesses. Unfortunately, they received 18 applications, and we just had a meeting on Monday about this. And I don't think anyone from San Juan Bautista was in that meeting, but there were 18 applications and only 5 of them qualified. So if the funding is not allocated by November, it has to be returned to the state. And we would really like to make sure that that money is all used. So with just 5 grants that met the criteria, they'll be allocating that funds to those 5. But I think we're going to have a second round of applications. So I just wanted to make sure that you're all aware of that, because you would hate to have that money returned. And I think there are businesses that qualify. They just don't know. They need more information about the application and maybe one-on-one working with them. So I'll be happy as soon as they bring out the new criteria. I'll be happy to bring that forward to you. If you know anyone who applied, maybe their application wasn't fully completed, and maybe they left out some information, and I'll be happy to work with you in the county to provide more information so that they can fund that business. We're also, next week is the San Benito County Economic Development Advisory Committee meeting, which is once a month on the fourth Thursday of the month between 12 and 2. Don't have an agenda for that yet, but I will be, there will be 2 presenters from Dublin and Livermore talking about their sales tax incentive programs. And we're trying to get the county to move forward with one for San Benito. And so we'll have 2 people presenting on that. I'll be talking about SURF and the SEDS. And lastly, I wanted to announce that my last EDC coordinator left and decided to take a different position. So if you know anyone who wants a position with the EDC, I'm looking for a part-time coordinator, and I'll be glad to send out the job description. Is 20 hours a week, working in downtown Hollister, but it's very flexible. So if you know anyone who's looking for a position like that, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Really appreciate all that information. I had a couple of questions for you. With regards to the grant, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm getting some background, but I can hear you.
Regarding the grant, will funds be reallocated or readjusted, or it's just the minimum amount? I believe it was $1,500 per business, up to 15?
It's 2,500.
Oh, 25, okay.
Right, and so we'll have to remain the same just because, you know, the funding source has set those guidelines and the criteria. So having only 5 of them, there's quite a bit of money left over. And so, but they're still going to have the deadline of November that the funds have to be out, and you have to solicit applications for 4 weeks. So it's a short, tight timeline, but I think it's worth it. And as soon as I get that information, I'll definitely let you know.
Perfect. And lastly, I haven't been getting any communications from the SURF. Is there a list that we need to go on so that, and I've had that same comment from other members as well.
I did send out an invitation today. I don't know if everyone got it, but when I get, I'm registered, and so I think is Arlene. And what I'm doing is I'm sending out the SURF invitations to the outreach committee primarily, because that's their job is to do outreach. into groups like this. And so pretty much I've been focusing on using the subcommittee structure that you established to link people with the activities and organizations that fit with those subcommittees. So I think I sent out the SURF invitation to tomorrow and Friday. See what I actually did send. I think I just sent it to Luke, Darlene, Liz, and Beverly. Pretty sure. But I can send it to these things to the whole group. It's just that the outreach, you're going to have plenty to do. Don't know if you want to get all of those things. You're in business development and retention, so not sure the SURF program is aligned with that subcommittee's work. But yeah, it's up to you. But if everyone wants to receive all of the invitations, I'd be happy to send it to everyone.
I think it'll be good so people can at least be informed of what's going on. And even if the subcommittee that's assigned to this task, if someone is missing or doesn't attend one of the meetings, we still have representation.
Yeah. Well, I want you to be able to rely on the subcommittee communication to make everything work as much as possible. And that way, everybody knows what everybody else is doing. And there's no confusion about who's really responsible for covering those activities. But that, like I said, it's up to you. And I'll send that out.
I have a hand up from Fran and then Teresa.
Yes, thank you. So Renee, I remember 2 years ago when Ana Cayeta came to San Juan Bautista and she talked about the micro business grant. And so I just want to make sure, so it was intended to support, so they didn't necessarily have a brick and mortar business, but it was the people selling flowers, honey, fruit stands, all those businesses. And so I believe that's still the case and why they're doing the micro business grant. Like I said, that's what I was shared with me. And so I think about if you're not getting a good response, like I really think that that's a group that requires a workshop, where you create a workshop to have them come, and it needs to be bilingual. So there's just my suggestions. They do need a lot of handholding because, and again, that's just from my initial conversations with Ana Cayeta and why they did the micro business grants was to support those businesses. Again, they don't necessarily have the brick and mortar, but they're still out there and there's still businesses that need to be supported. And so I think having a workshop and making sure it's bilingual might be helpful to get more people to apply and to successfully get the grant, because the last thing we want to do is to let money go. So thank you.
And also to what you're saying, Fran, one of the things that I'm noticing with this particular grant is a criteria. You had to make less than 50,000, which would fall within that grouping of those individuals represented in what you're saying, but also they need documentation, which has been a problem. They don't have, because they're not formally set up, even though they're considered what we would consider like a gig worker. They're self-employed, they're doing their thing, but they're not formally set up. So they're not doing taxes oftentimes. And I believe her grant for their department requires financials.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying, a workshop would help teach them what they need to do for the future. So this is part of with this grant, with the grants right now, I'll tell you, it's really forcing people to understand as a business what you're required to have and record keeping and really understanding your numbers. And so this is a good time to help those folks with the micro businesses. So I'm just suggesting a workshop would be really great to have. And you can use my facility in San Juan Bautista for that.
That's fantastic. I do agree with what you're saying. We have Teresa.
Muted.
My question is sort of off the off subject, but I do have a question for Renee. Is this also available for nonprofits, or does it have to be a for-profit type business?
It could be for nonprofit. So you just have to have been in business since 2019.
Mhm,
You have to have been in business as of that year.
mhm.
It doesn't matter if it's 12/31/2019, as long as you have a business license, you maintain that business license.
Okay, so you require a business license.
Yes.
Okay,
And you
that's all.
do have to show your tax returns. You have to show you had a loss during COVID, and you have to have 5 or less employees. So that's not difficult to do, but if you don't have a business license and you're not paying taxes and you're not,
It was just, like I said, off the wall question. Thought I'd ask.
there have been several events by the county to address both Latino and English speaking. And so they've done the criteria all in both. And they have done downtown in Hollister, at least, events to try to promote it and explain it to people. They probably have not done it in San Juan Bautista, but I'd be happy to relay that information to them as the importance, because we really would hate to have that money go back.
Mhm, for sure. This question is to Brian, and when you were talking, Renee, it brought up this idea. I see that the cities, the income for the city is mainly from sales tax. What businesses really bring in that sales tax that takes us above property taxes? Brian.
Fuel tax.
Brian, you're muted. Because we only have one gas station.
Yeah, I'm not sure, actually, about
That's-
that. That's a very good question.
That's the biggest revenue for San Benito County and Hollister. I don't know
Right.
about San Juan Bautista, but is revenue from fuel tax.
Yeah, well, we only have one gas station, and that's why it's sort of, I thought, where are all these sales tax coming from?
Right.
It would be interesting to know what businesses really are bringing the money in.
Right.
But,
I agree.
yeah, actually, we won't. I don't know that we can actually say which businesses bring in tax. We have to have a resolution by the city council authorizing us to obtain that information. Many communities don't want our decision makers to have that information.
Oh, okay. I was just
and
curious.
so, yeah, and so I'm not sure we can get it per business, but I think we can get it generally, our sales tax is a certain amount. And
9%.
yeah, and we'll be able to, not sure how much is broken down in terms of different types of businesses.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I just
I
thought,
know you've got-
hey, bring in more of those businesses that are, creating sales tax for us
yeah,
and
right.
bringing it in.
That's good. And we did have a conversation, and Renee, you might want to talk a little bit about, the business that we're trying to recruit. And, you want to explain a little bit about that?
Sure.
Field trip?
I mean, normally I have to not announce who the business is. We're working with a pie manufacturer.
We've already told everybody who it is.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to be very careful about what I announce. So,
No, we get to hear about that stuff with this group.
okay.
Right.
So Patrick's Pies, who I'm sure you're familiar with at your rib cook-off and other events you have in San Juan Bautista, is looking to move their business from Texas to California, which is really unusual. Usually it's the other way around, right? But I think he's from this area, always loved San Juan Bautista. So we've been working with him on possibly moving to the old fish I forgot, hatchery, or is it a fish?
It's a fish wholesaler.
Right,
wholesalers.
I think it's called Harvest Seafood. Is that?
Yeah.
Seafood harvest or harvest seafood, yeah.
Right. So we took a tour, which is amazing property. And he's very interested. We're helping him figure out funding sources. But you know, it's very, we don't want to announce it to anyone because they still have employees, about 50 employees, and they really don't know yet.
They won't want to come to Texas, from Texas to here.
Right. No, I'm talking about the employees at the fish. At
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They won't want to relocate to here.
Right. Well, no, they're already in San Juan Bautista.
Oh.
That company is moving to Sacramento. And so
Oh,
they would probably still want to be employed in San Juan Bautista, and the Patrick's Pie is very interested in employing them and making sure, because they're going to grow sweet potatoes on a partial part of that land. So they would need people who are doing both, helping make the pies and doing all that stuff. But don't want to let anyone know about this because the employees that are currently there may not know that the company's moving to Sacramento. And so we want to be very careful that they don't hear about that from us before they're told. But I think it's a good opportunity. It's actually a great opportunity. Besides wanting to employ those 50 people, there would be more people that they would hire. And so it takes some time to work out the intricate details because he's wanting to apply for funding under the opportunity zones and the California Competes, other different types of grant programs. And so it is time consuming. It takes some time, as I'm sure Brian C. could also understand. And so I'm going to be working with the GoBiz group to try to help him figure out the next steps. We're also working with, what's the name of the expansion of is it Four Leaf, Brian? Not Four Leaf, but I keep thinking it's Four Leaf.
True Leaf.
True Leaf, right. And they're doing an expansion and they're wanting to stay in San Juan Bautista. If they don't stay in San Juan Bautista, they'll end up in Monterey, and we don't want that. We want it in San Benito County. So they're also looking for tax incentives and ways that they can expand and hire like 100 people in San Juan Bautista, which would be really awesome. So I'm going to be working with them very closely to try to help them facilitate that.
And could you talk a little bit about the opportunity zone for that? The fish plant is in an opportunity zone. So maybe the effect of that is really helpful. And maybe summarize just briefly what the opportunity zone enables.
Probably Brian could talk more about the opportunity zone. It's complicated because it has investors that invest in the opportunity zone. And it takes a little while to do. It sounds great. You get a big tax incentive. The investors do over a period of time. Brian, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not the subject matter expert at GoBiz when it comes to opportunity zones, but basically on a general explanation of what an opportunity zone is, it's a census tract that is considered an economically distressed area. Either they have a high amount of poverty or high amount of unemployment rate. And so as a result, this census tract, the opportunity zone, is available, or they qualify for preferential federal tax treatments and other incentives. Yeah, pretty much that's about as much as I know about the opportunity zones. But yeah, if you guys need more consultation on it, I can connect you with the unit in GoBiz who can provide a more thorough overview about it.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate that the committee understand the benefit provided by the opportunity zone, because it is significant from a tax standpoint. So let's plan on having that on an agenda.
That's a great idea. And just so you know, San Juan Bautista is, it's, the opportunity zone is 66 square miles and it encompasses all of San Juan Bautista. So it just barely goes into part of San Benito County or Hollister, just a tiny portion of it. So it's very relevant to you and it's very important. So I'd be glad to facilitate, a presentation on it with someone who knows the most about it. And I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, I think we need to hear a little bit more from GoBiz about the California Compete program,
Yes.
the opportunity zones. And these are real resources that are available to San Juan Bautista.
I
So I
agree.
think it's important that we understand them.
Yeah, and Dana, my colleague, can definitely provide a thorough overview of Cal Competes. The Cal Competes program are just like a series of tax credits and grants that we offer to private businesses looking to either relocate to California or expand their operations or to retain them. And yeah, unfortunately, Dana couldn't be on the call today. She's on the board for Cuesta College, and they have one of their recurring monthly meetings tonight. But she can definitely provide a overview of the Cal Competes, a thorough overview of the Cal Competes program. And then, yeah, I'd be happy to connect this group with the subject matter experts at GoBiz when it comes to opportunity zones as well. I'd just like to also add about the SURF program. Renee did a wonderful job providing an overview of it, but just wanted to provide a few more details and updates. So I'm the Regional Economic Recovery Coordinator for the Central Coast. So I'll be coordinating activities around the SURF program on behalf of GoBiz. So right now there is a active solicitation for proposal for applications to serve as basically the heads of the planning tables for the SURF program. There's two roles in particular, the regional convener and the fiscal agent. Basically the regional convener will be acting as like the lead facilitator and organizing the SURF planning table. So organizing the stakeholders who are going to be included in the SURF planning process. And then the fiscal agent will be acting as sort of the intermediary for the grant in the Central Coast region. So right now there is a competitive application period underway for organizations to apply to serve as the regional convener and or fiscal agent. And the deadline for those applications are July 25th. As Renee mentioned, there are a series of working sessions tomorrow, but those are actually being hosted by a number of economic development organizations here on the Central Coast that are looking to apply to be the regional convener and fiscal agent. GoBiz is not directly affiliated with this organization. Because this is a competitive application process, we cannot be affiliated or support or endorse any organization or groups of organizations when it comes to them applying to serve as the regional convener or the fiscal agent. And so I will not be participating in those working sessions tomorrow. I can't answer any questions regarding those, but do want to let you know that as of now, it's anticipated. So the application deadline for the regional convener and the fiscal agent is supposed to last until July 25th. Basically August and September, our agency, along with our partnering agencies for this program, will be evaluating and grading the applications and selecting awardees. And then roughly around October is when the planning phase of the SURF program will be taking place or being initiated. And so we're still quite a ways out before any type of economic planning around the SURF program is going to take place. So we still got quite a bit of time. So just to kind of put everyone's minds at ease, you're not behind the ball on anything at this time. And also want to add, because this is a concern among stakeholders statewide for this program, the regional convener and the fiscal agent, they won't be holding any higher decision making, or they won't possess any additional power when it comes to the SURF planning. Basically, their role is just to kind of serve as the intermediaries in the region. And so a lot of people think that, you know, because they don't, a lot of organizations statewide think that since if they don't, you know, if they don't get the award to serve as the convener or the fiscal agent, then they're missing out on being able to coordinate and lead SURF planning activities. But the idea is that all stakeholders involved in the planning process will have equal voice and equal decision-making power. So just wanted to add that in. I won't be having too many additional updates on SURF until the solicitation for proposal application deadline passes. But yeah, if you have any general questions about SURF, I can do my best to either answer those or refer your questions to our partnering agency who's administering the SURF program, which is the EDD, the Economic Development Department. So just wanted to add that in. I won't be I'm not directly associated with the working sessions tomorrow, which are being hosted by these economic development organizations.
Thank you, Brian. We really appreciate that. I know there's a
Yeah.
couple of questions out there that with their hand raised. I just want to remind the group that if you're not actively talking, please mute your mics, as there's background noise that is preventing us to hear whoever is the active speaker. So I have Fran has her hand up, please.
Yes, and I apologize. I'm like 2 topics behind. So I just wanted to ask about the new business that you talked about earlier. It's obviously manufacturing, right? That they're going to be doing. So I was wondering, is there also going to be where they're open to the public? Because I just think about, when I see this opportunity, I really think about Gizditch in Watsonville, where like that place is so busy all weekend long with people going in and out buying pies. So I want to make sure that we encourage them. It can't just be manufacturing only. I would love to see them open just like a tasting room, right? But you're going in and you're buying pies. That's what San Juan Bautista needs. And that's what is a good fit for San Juan Bautista. So whatever we can do to encourage them how to do that. But Gizditch Ranch in Watsonville is an excellent example of that. And they get so many tourists that come to see them. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Yeah, his model is to grow locally, process locally, manufacture locally, and have a retail outlet that's local. So full business model from grow to sale.
Yeah, and if you can have him go to Gizditch Ranch. And I know Cynthia Gizditch there if he needs a contact.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Why don't you send that to me and I'll forward it to him. Or actually, Renee, you're working with him.
Yeah.
So maybe Renee, I'd like to keep Renee and Patrick Caldwell really connected. So I think that would be great if Renee could have that, and then she could
I think
put
that's a
him in
great
touch.
idea.
And then Renee, are you going to apply to be regional convener?
No, the
Okay.
EDC is not. We've kind of aligned ourselves with this working group that's doing these 2
Okay.
sessions.
Yeah.
It's Uplift Central Coast is what they're calling it, which is the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership, the Economic Development Collaborative, and REACH, which is not the same REACH that you are familiar with. It's the Regional Economic Action, or it's Action Coalition. So it's those 3. And, you know, we've worked very well with the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership and the other, not so much REACH, but the EDC, which is
Okay,
the
great.
economic, yeah.
Teresa.
Okay. I have Teresa.
I'm going back to the economic zones, the development zones, because when I was selling some properties, I was trying to figure out how I could move my tax base and that whole bit and avoid taxes. What I think we need, and that's the business and development group, is a commercial realtor that can connect with these people that are selling businesses and out of the area, so that they can relocate into this area and avoid all those capital gains taxes and spread out their tax, avoid taxes for a while. So my thought is if we do have someone that is a commercial realtor in the area, it might be good to have them on the team, not as not as a member of this group, but maybe on your team.
But we do have a realtor.
Yeah, but I'm not. I wouldn't consider myself.
We have a
commercial.
couple of realtors. Yeah. So I think Stephanie is. She's not here this evening, so we can't. Really
She's more. She does appraise businesses, and she does have a big background in business and commercial. But my thought is if we have an active real estate person out there working, attracting people to this area because of the opportunity zone.
And that understands the opportunity zone and the new market tax credits, because there's a lot of different taxes.
Oh, it's a mess. I'm not a mess, but I tried to figure it out, and it was like, oh, okay, I'll just pay the capital gains.
It's
Renee, in your search for an economic development specialist, is that something that you would look for and qualifications for that person?
Yes. I mean, the coordinator that I'm working with is just a part-time person, kind of working to schedule meetings, but get involved more. So it's a little different. If the EDC is able to get funding from the city of Hollister, who defunded us, we're looking to ask for funding return from the city of Hollister for this next year. Then I would hire a new business development manager like Mark Fontes was, who would be crucial to that. Right now, it's just me, and because we're not funded except by the county, we're trying to work all that out right now.
Yeah, I see that business development manager as fulfilling the idea that Teresa suggested.
It's very crucial.
Yeah.
Because you just can't do everything, and you need to be out there talking to the businesses about expanding and realtors about property. And I get calls just about every day about projects, and it's difficult to do it all on your own.
Right. And, for example, we would have Patrick Caldwell talk to that business development manager, in addition to you, of course, but
yes, I agree.
Take the lead.
And I have been soliciting commercial realtors to try to help me with that. So I am working on that. I have several. I wanted to find someone specifically that was familiar with San Juan Bautista, because that's where the big opportunity zone is. So I'll let you know as soon as I find someone, and we could do a presentation for you. I think that would be very helpful.
Very good. Okay.
Well,
for the next meeting.
Yeah. So we have utilized our time today. So we didn't get to what we were supposed to get to, which was our subcommittees, and at least getting an update. So if everyone wants to take maybe 5 to 10 minutes, are we okay with that? Just so each group can give an update. I know we don't have a lot of information to give updates on, as we're still meeting and kind of defining our roles within the group. But I would like to hear from our first meeting subcommittee, which is the Economic Development Outreach, which can I get a volunteer to give us an update? I believe there's only 2 members here. One just resigned. So we have Darlene Boyd and Liz Sanchez.
Okay.
Luke here. I had some issues logging in, but I'm here as well.
Oh,
right.
okay, Luke, thank you.
That will be noted by Brian. Thank you, Luke.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to give you because of the fact that Brian Coleman and Renee Wells covered the surf stuff, so that's great. I'm glad of that. The Monterey Bay Economic Partnership basically had an annual economic report. The points that I got from that is we have a very hot economy. There's 4.5% or less unemployed. We're in a period of inflation and there's no projected end, according to this economist. There's a high cost of housing and rent, which we all know. And the state of California has 2 million housing units short of creating an optimum for pricing. So his recommendations are we need to build more housing up, not out. So that was what he kind of came up with. Reach, I think that Renee already kind of covered Reach and Uplift Central California because she was talking about that. So I won't go into that too much. There are a couple things on the supervisors meeting that I thought were interesting. If you want, I can send this to you, but it was basically about the projects that are in the queue right now that they're working on. I just kind of like to keep track of those because some of them do fall in our area, so they could have an impact on us. For instance, the Beta Bill one is one of them. The Highway 129 and Cyril Road is Traveler Station. And of course, the Strada Verde project innovation park, because that could really, really impact our schools if they really do get that built, because they do want to give a lot of money to the schools. And then the second thing from the supervisors was they're doing a zoning code update, okay? And I don't know exactly what that entailed, but I will try to get some more information on that because it's important to know what's around us since we are going through the planning process of determining our boundaries and of all kinds. So we would probably want to know some of that. And that's basically all I have right now. Thank you. Liz, you have anything to add?
One thing I wanted to add, Darlene, was the no growth initiative that's going to be on the ballot in November. That's going to substantially impact San Benito County. If it moves forward, they're going to actually, they've received 4,000 signatures to put that on the ballot. And if that happens, they're trying to, of the 16 commercial nodes in San Benito County, they're trying to remove 13 of those, which will have a big impact on San Benito County. So I would pay very close attention to that. If anyone would like an overview of that program, just let me know and I can get someone to provide more information about it.
I think that's crucial for you to provide that information to us because we can't know either way what we're fighting for or against if we don't have the information. Yes, Brian?
Yes, Darlene. In the memo establishing subcommittees and contacts, May 23rd, there is a whole list of organizations that are currently active in San Benito County. And I wonder, do you have, and I'm not, this is not a critical question, do you have a schedule for their meetings? Yeah.
I think Liz was covering most of the organizations and agencies in San Benito County. So I would defer that question to her.
Okay, so does your committee have a schedule for those meetings?
Do we have a formal schedule? I haven't put one together, but
okay.
I do get emails on those, so I will put it on a calendar
Okay, so my suggestion is that because there are so many, and they're all doing a lot of different and similar things, that you have a schedule for when all these committees meet, including the local ones. There's a couple of different committees that sound the same, but they're different. And that's true in the county too. I'll be happy to help if I can. So that's why I asked that question. The first thing I recommend that you do is to establish a list and establish a schedule for when all these committees meet so that you can begin to target their meetings. And so that's my suggestion.
Yeah, I have some of the information, but I haven't calendarized it completely.
Okay,
So
all right.
I will get that finished up and I will get your input as needed. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, cool.
And
All right.
Liz, I'd be happy to help you with that too.
Okay, thanks, Renee.
Welcome.
And Luke, if you're on the phone, I would like you to explain a little bit about the working document thing that you suggested at our meeting.
Oh, sure. So at our last subcommittee meeting, we decided it would probably be a good idea to have a place to keep records of all of our meeting activity. And we also decided it would be a good place to keep a record of upcoming agenda items for our subcommittee. So we'll be using a Google Doc for that. And if the other subcommittees would like, they can also have viewing access. So just let me know.
Sounds good.
That would be good. So thank you for that update. Our next group is group 2, which is our business development and retention, which consists of myself, Mrs. B, and Fran. Can we get an update from that subcommittee? Either from Fran or Mrs. B.
I was going to defer to Fran, but Fran brought up some issues about how difficult it is sometimes for businesses to get started or knowing what they need to know to intelligently decide to start a business in San Juan. Instead of going back and forth and getting new data every time you make a step. So we were considering having packets for restaurants, or one for retailers, one for hospitality. That would include everything that would be needed as far as permits and licenses and applications to fine tune the process. So, and another point was to include all businesses, and try to find out how many businesses we actually have in San Juan Bautista and reach out to them all so that everyone can be informed about what we're trying to do so that they can maybe join in and help us.
So that's like a business inventory?
Yes.
Huh?
All licensed businesses.
We can help with that.
We have a lot.
Business licenses.
Yeah, we have a lot of that as well. So I'll just add to Mrs. B. This is a pretty big topic. There's a lot of homework and a lot of researching and a lot of going out and touring other cities, because the last thing that we want to do is continue to do what we've been doing, right? And the last thing we want to do is to continue to follow the process and what we're used to, what's easy, what's comfortable, right? So that's the last thing we want to do. So we are on a mission to go and collect and understand what exists today, how it works today in all aspects of business development. There's a lot of pieces to it. So as I said, this is a huge, huge project. And it is going to be a long journey and a lot of work. And so right now we're in our discovery. I look at it like Star Trek. You know, we're landing on the planet and we're going out and looking at everything and collecting what's out there. And then we're going to come back and we're going to figure out, okay, what's missing? Because I'm a big fan of, there's a lot of work that people have done through the years in our county, a lot of work, a lot of hard work, a lot of commitment, a lot of time, volunteer time. And so I don't want to waste that, right? I want to pick that up and I want to make it better in some cases. I don't want to do away with it. At least that's my 2 cents, but that's sort of where we're going. So we have a lot of research that we're doing right now and understanding about this big topic. And so that's really where my focus is and what I've shared with our group is that we're on fact finding right now because we're not going to come back to you and say, we're changing this, we're doing that, we're doing this, because you know what? We need to fully understand what exists out there today, right? Before we can really do that. But we also recognize the fact that what we have had all this time is not good enough and we're going to fix it. So that's my 2 cents on our update and what we talked about. Is that correct, Helena, Mrs. B?
Yeah, yes, it is. We also discussed, I sent out an email to our team for small towns training. So it's an initiative that's put on by small towns to give you insights on how small towns operate and work and how do we integrate a process within our town. And so I'm hoping that through this fact-finding stage that we're currently in, where once what Fran said, we have on our agenda to actually go visit some towns that are similarly, has a similar look to ours with a historic aspect to it, so that we can not just see what the marketing aspect is, meaning what they're putting out there for the public, but actually talk to the businesses to see if things are actually working. Because we want to complete this picture for our community and revitalize it so that we're sustainable, that we're profitable, and that we attract the people that we need to in order for us to keep moving.
Yeah. And you know, and to Helena's point, as she said, we're going to go out and talk to other businesses at other cities. So when I started my brewery, I went and talked to a handful of breweries. Some of them went away and didn't make it. So I went and asked questions like, would you do this again? You know, like what worked, what didn't work. And so we're going to ask the ugly questions. I think that's one of the things that we don't do enough as a community. We need to ask the ugly questions. We need to ask the uncomfortable questions, because that's how you're going to make things better. And so that's one of the big things that we're going to be doing in this group, is asking the ugly questions.
And
They're
doing
gonna
a good
try
deal.
to- they're gonna try to pinpoint, as they said, what works and what does not work. And that means we have to actually talk to the people that are in the midst of what's either working or not working. Not going to those that want to give us a shiny, nice picture. We're in a reality phase now. And we have to keep it real, so we need to get to the meat of the subject. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, you cut out. Lastly, I wanted to point out that it's crucial for our group is that we see where the funding is for these businesses. We're talking about retention, and we're talking about looking at attracting new businesses, but we also realize that funding is a major part, like with GoBiz and with the EDCAC from the county, how there are identifying opportunity zones for businesses and things like that, and extra resources or tax-based credits that businesses can realize when we attract them here. What are the benefits of being a part of this community? We're a small community, but we have to make sure that the revenue that can be generated and realized from them attracting them here, will they be able to generate the kind of revenue they need to be sustainable? And so that's a key component to this whole picture. We're not just looking at one aspect of it from the business development side. we're looking at a complete picture frame of how it's going to look, from starting a business to maintaining the business to even your exit strategy of your business.
And I just wanted to mention that there are some great tools out there. GoBiz has a great tool called CalGold, which Brian could probably speak of, but it gives you, you could put in any kind of business that you want to start in an area, in any county or any town, and it will give you all the information, all the permits you need, what it's going to take. And then they also have all these different videos that will help you how to write a business plan, what you need to do for this type of business. So those are some great options. And also I am working with the San Benito High School for an internship program with the EDC with me over the next semester to help me put together videos on how you start a business in San Benito County, how you, what it takes, different kinds of videos, how you apply for grants, that sort of thing, and where you can turn to for help. So if anyone has any ideas, I'm trying to do a whole series and I'm just starting the discussion. And if you have some ideas, I would love to hear what other questions or videos, a webinar series that you think would be valuable to that series.
Yeah. And you know what, Renee, I love all of that. And so one of the places I would start, and it's not to make it negative or anything, but I think there's a lot of value to talking to the businesses that have closed, a lot of value. And for me, I think that would be a really good place to start. Like, what happened, and I can help get some of those businesses to you.
So one of the things, and thank you, Renee. I mean, thank you, Renee, as well as Fran for that, for those comments, because like Fran said, we need to know the obstacles that they face that enabled the closure. Something had to happen that they weren't getting, or their needs weren't being met in order to, so we can look at the landmines to help other people avoid. Any other comments here? Because we'll move on to the next group.
I just have a quick question for clarification. This is Luke. What was the website again where you could get information about the permits required for specific business types? Thanks.
CalGold.
Can you spell that?
Yeah, CalGold. Yeah, and I'm not too familiar with the website myself, but essentially it provides assistance when it comes to like types of permits you need for your region, what agencies in that region can help you out as well. I was actually trying to pull it up right now so I could
Brian, is it broken down by, I'm a restaurant, I am a merchant, I am a manufacturer? I mean, because I think that's where we've got to get to. At least our group talked about that.
It is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So can you repeat that? Can you repeat that URL, because I'm not finding it.
It's. Do you want me to give it to him, Brian? It's actually CalGold. It's
.ca.
Yeah, CalGold.ca.gov.
Yeah, I was trying to copy the hyperlink and I was going to post in the chat, but I don't have the chat feature on my Zoom.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. If you like, what I can do is I'll send links to the web pages for both the opportunity zones and the CalGold website as well. I can send that to Brian. He can distribute it out to the group.
That
I
was
definitely encourage you.
Yeah,
and then also, I was going to add one additional thing. I think I may have mentioned this in the last meeting back in May, but our agency also recently rolled out a community-based toolkit on our website. Basically, it provides information and data on various economic indicators. So you can look up economic data by city and county throughout California. It'll tell you things like the number of the number of unemployment in that region, or the amount of unemployment in that region. The number of businesses by certain industry sectors, labor force size, population figures, and that kind of stuff. I'll also send that out to Brian after this meeting, because it's a valuable toolkit, and we just recently rolled it out last month as well. So I'll definitely send all that information over after this meeting.
It would be interesting, Brian, and to the group, if we could have a EDCAC section on the city's website, and then have for this group, information for business development. So if people are needing, they can have this at their fingertips, these resources, as we're developing them. It'll be easily accessible.
And I would suggest that, we talk a lot about, this website or this link and all that. Is a lot of our businesses in San Juan Bautista, they're afraid of computers, right? It doesn't mean they should be left out. So I would love at some point this year, and maybe in the wintertime when it's a little slower, that we do a little mini small business expo where we can have all of these groups come and do demos and have a screen up that goes through the websites and talks to you. So it's less intimidating. It's just the nature of our businesses. They're all really great people, but they are intimidating. I like just the other day, I was talking to one who didn't know about what kind of fire extinguisher do I need, and what does the signage mean? Because the fire department came and inspected them. So I'm like, come over here, let me show you mine. And they're, oh, that makes sense. So there's just a lot of those pieces that I think that we would really do such a great thing for our business group if we had a small business expo where we collected all these groups and did it in San Juan Bautista. I hear about job fairs. No one ever does anything in San Juan Bautista. We have to do it. And so I would love for us to come together and do a business expo for all our businesses in San Juan.
It's a great
Hear,
idea.
hear that, friend. Okay, on to our last group, just because we're conscious of time. We have the community relations and resource, and that will be Teresa, Stephanie, Kim, and looks like Susie.
Susie.
So,
I'm gonna let Kim go for it.
Oh, geez. Well, it'll be a quick little report. We kind of got to know each other. We didn't know each other. And so we talked a little bit about our interest and why we wanted to be on the committee. And we talked about we need to kind of do an inventory of opportunities that are already out there close to us, and then build on that. Recreation, we talked a little bit about recreation. That's a real strong interest for me. But we know that brings tourism in, and we want to outreach to groups that want to do that. And so it's kind of just preliminary conversations that we had to get us going, and we'll kind of start setting some goals and some priorities next time. Teresa, you got anything to add? The good thing that I heard, though, I was excited to hear from Teresa that she has been working. You'll have to give details, but when the track gets there, it will be open to the community. And so the fences will come down and the community will be able to enjoy the benefit of that.
Actually, the fences, there's more fences going up.
Oh, great.
But yes, the city of San Juan, and matter of fact, I've got to go to this next meeting, and the school district are putting together a joint use agreement so that we can open up the school grounds. There's 5 schools in Hollister that are open up to the community, and they're working with Hollister, the city of Hollister, and the school district. And so now it's time for us to do it. And it's been great because we have a city manager that is just really pushing forward. He sees all these kids running around with basketballs and nowhere to go because they're all fenced out. So basically probably within the next 3 months, we'll be seeing fences going around the buildings at the school, and that allowing the school grounds, the basketball courts, the new playground, and the new soon-to-be running track available to the community. So that's where we're at, and I'm shooting
job,
for
Lisa.
the
Good job. God, especially that track. You've been working on that for a long time.
3 years, 3 years.
No, it
3
was so
years
good.
too
It was
long.
so good to hear, because that relationship is just so necessary.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be breaking ground July 18th for the
Nice,
track.
nice. So really,
Awesome.
that's all we have right now.
Well, thank you for that update. I see that it's 7:21. We are over time. If there aren't any other comments, we're going to go ahead and see who wants to.
I knew that we adjourned.
Thank you.
I second it.
All in favor?
I.
Hey. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for your comments and your input.
Good meeting.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.